There are moments in this franchise when one sentence from DICE changes the entire conversation. This week, we got one of those sentences. Let's find out what's what. DICE confirmed around the time of the end of the beta, prior to the launch, that larger maps do exist in Battlefield 6, and they're coming. Not a maybe, not we'll explore it, not the team is evaluating options. The quote is simple: large maps exist, and the tempo scales accordingly. You'll see soon enough. But at the time of that statement, it was in reference to what we received at launch. I don't think it was the wool being pulled over our eyes, but it was probably a slick way of being suggestive. But recently, Sirland responded to a post on X. On November 5th, R3PCom posted, "Bugs aside, map design is the biggest issue. They're small, too linear, and often have terrible sightlines. Blackwell is the best example." Preach, brother. Anyway, he continues, "Vehicles can camp in their bases, being protected from projectiles by the base anti-armor while sniping across the entire map." Again, preach! We need some amens up in here. Now, I wholeheartedly agree with R3PCom. We've gone over some of what he pointed out on this channel, and we've gone over them a few times. Now, the interesting thing here is Sirland's response. He said, "This is an issue with the map for sure, and the tightness of the flight space." I wonder if he meant fight space. Whatever. I don't agree that is true for all maps, however. There are different types of Battlefield maps in all games. We need more of the large sandbox types for sure, though. If that last sentence feels bigger than the words on the post, it is. Because this one small detail touches pacing, vehicles, roles, visibility, objective design, and all the things players say feel off right now. So in today's video, we're breaking down exactly what this suggestion means, what it doesn't mean, why DICE held larger maps back for a bit, and how larger map layouts could reshape Battlefield 6's entire personality. Hopefully by the end of this video, you'll know what to expect, what not to expect, and what actually changes for your matches going forward. But now hang on just 1 second though. I agree technically with Sirland here about there being other Battlefield maps. However, specifically in Battlefield 6, I don't agree in spirit. And I'm specifically talking about Conquest. The Operation Firestorm map is smaller than the original map. Blackwell looks big, but it's designed to funnel into a meat grinder. Blackwell feels compressed. Empire State is cramped even for Conquest. Iberian Offensive and Siege of Cairo have the same feel as Empire State. New Sobek City. Man, I really want to like this map, but the layout is just too dense by design. If we had maybe 20 meters in either direction away from the middle, I think it would be perfect. Liberation Peak. One update kind of made the map worse. They made the small hill an out-of-bounds area so snipers couldn't rule the landscape. But you have all that lush riverside grassland on the opposite side of the fence where you can flank, keeping your head down. If I were a game developer, I would have left the small peak alone and just widened towards the river more, again about 15-20 meters. Mirak Valley is pretty big compared to Empire State, Iberian, and Cairo, but the middle of the map has this weird World War I trench warfare action going on before you get to the construction. So yeah, I agree technically, but because of the cramped sides of the maps and the other things that I listed earlier, in principle, I disagree. Now, you've probably noticed these things about Battlefield 6 since the launch. No matter the mode, the maps do feel tighter. Even when you're not playing CQB modes, you are closer together than the franchise's previous entries. These designs led people to assume this was the new map philosophy, a deliberate shift away from Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, or Battlefield 1 in scale and toward a more energetic, pressure-first style, I guess? And no, I'm not suggesting that we go all ham like 2042 did. There is a such thing as too big. And then Sirland dropped that line. And it told us something DICE has not said outright. The maps you've played so far may not be the full deck. The bigger layouts might exist. Future maps may have already been built. I mean, look at Eastwood. It's the right Battlefield size. And more on that Friday. My point is, there was never a no, not directly. So the question becomes, okay, since you apparently agree with R3PCOM, does that mean that the devs are actually considering opening up the current maps a little and future maps will be truly Battlefield scale again? I mean, I get why they shipped Battlefield with smaller maps. A business decision to get Call of Duty players into the franchise en masse. But why lead with the smaller maps in the first place? And does "we need more of the large sandbox type for sure, though" actually translate to proper scale soon, if at all? That's what we're pulling apart piece by piece here. Think back to the last match where the map felt too tight or too chaotic. What was missing? Was it room? Was it cover? Was it a vehicle approach path? This will matter later. Now, before we get too speculative, let's anchor ourselves in the confirmed details, the receipts. Here are the verified pieces straight from developer statements and reporting. The small launch maps were intentional. They were built to showcase Battlefield 6's new pacing systems, destructive tempo, player speed, combat density, in a controlled environment. The larger maps already exist. Not planned, not in concept, already made. This is important. We're not waiting on R&D, we're waiting for release. Again, this was initially in reference to the post-beta pre-launch. Player feedback on map size is officially under review. This phrase means true iteration is happening, not community management talk. And at the time, it was in reference to those pre-launch maps. However, based on Eastwood, I think they came back to this statement again during meetings. At least one large-scale map was confirmed for an upcoming update. I think this was directed at Blackwell Fields, but it landed solidly with Eastwood. Player counts may shift on larger maps. Though that's not confirmed, early internal testing suggested pacing tweaks and scaling adjustments. This ended up going in the opposite direction with the smaller maps, actually. So we're not really dealing with rumors here. We're dealing with a pipeline. But here's the part most players haven't thought of, though. What happens to Battlefield 6 when you introduce the true scale? Because scale is not just bigger real estate. It changes everything from player psychology to weapon tier lists to squad identities. And Battlefield 6 right now is tuned for urgency. So let's walk into the impact section. And we'll start with a tactical question. If the map suddenly doubled in size, just as a hypothetical for argument's sake, what's the first thing you think would break? And what's the first thing you think you would improve? Here's where we break this down in English, the real-world consequences larger maps unlock for Battlefield 6. First up, you got vehicle identity finally has room to breathe. Right now, Battlefield 6's vehicles feel like they're playing the same infantry game. When the sandbox compresses, tanks become target practice, helicopters become lawn darts. I have shown videos of this. And jeeps become fireworks. On larger maps, tank lanes widen, your air vehicles gain actual approach vectors, transport vehicles matter again, both land and air. Drivers stop playing bumper cars with the spawn points, and vehicles stop being in the way and start being part of the fight. I can't tell you how many times I've been on the Sobek City as an example, and people just backing into each other because there's just no room to maneuver. Next up, you got your infantry roles separate instead of blending. In tight maps, every class almost becomes the same class, the one holding the closest angle. On larger maps, recons stop being cannon fodder, support becomes the backbone again, engineers finally gets distance to do some work, assault gets to flow between fights instead of fight to fight. Role identity comes back. Third up is sightlines change players' behavior. Small maps force reaction time. Large maps reward planning time. And believe it or not, players change with the map, not the other way around. On larger maps, players naturally start taking flanks, setting up crossfire sections, projecting and protecting objectives, coordinating pushes, using recon data continuously, resupplying properly, marking targets for strategic advantage, watching lanes accurately, because space forces discipline. Next up, objectives stop feeling like traffic jams. Right now, Battlefield 6 objectives feel like single-file choke points. People pile in, pile up, and pile out. On larger maps, objectives become areas. Rotations start to matter again. Multiple angle defense returns. Attackers make real decisions, not forced ones. Objectives stop being elevators and start being battlefields again. And lastly, you have weapon balance will actually make sense. You've probably noticed everything feels like a mid-range weapon right now. Larger maps force the weapon sandbox to express itself. DMRs can come back. Long-range rifles really matter. LMGs gain relevance beyond doorways. Games stop being the fastest shooter wins and start becoming the right shooter wins. This is why a confirmation matters more than people think. Larger maps don't just fix space, they fix so many levels of play. And the game has a desperate need of this. So, I'll give you another tactical question. Which part of your loadout would change first if the map size doubles? Let's ground this entire briefing into a simple truth. Battlefield 6's identity problem is not a weapons problem, not a movement problem, not a pacing problem. It's not even a number of players problem. It's a space problem. Sirland's post means one thing. The game you're playing today may not be the game you'll be playing a few weeks or months from now. Larger maps mean new pacing, new roles, new weapon viability, better objective flow, better vehicle play, better squad cohesion, better battlefield identity. The truth is, Battlefield 6 hasn't been missing content. It's been missing volume. And now we know that volume exists again. So as we wait for DICE to drop more large maps into the rotation and perhaps widen the current maps just a scotch, here's the real question for you tonight. If the space opens up, do the players open up too? Because map size won't fix everything, but it will reveal everything. Thanks for watching, guys. Before you head out, please take a moment to check the video's description. Towards the very bottom of information about the channel, links to socials and such, there's a Spotlight of the Month. Every month I include either a spotlight or an awareness link directly tied to our military veterans. I'm prior service. Most of my family and friends are prior service. These spotlights and awareness programs mean a lot to me, personally. So please, whether you subscribe or not, like the video or not, follow me on X or join the Discord, at least check out the Spotlight. This month it's MSGA, Military Support Groups of America. They aren't sponsoring the video, nor are they sponsoring the channel. I picked them for this month's Spotlight, that's all. Check out the link, see if you're interested in supporting them. Hell, a simple gesture of just sharing the link with someone is good enough for me. I appreciate it. Until the next one, out.